is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 298. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCA at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. I don't know, we just talked a little bit before the podcast, and this does not apply to any of the audio listeners, but I realized just now as we came back from the intro, you and I are both hatless today, which I feel like is a rare occurrence.
We are both hatless. I don't even have one in reach, so I can't get out of this. It's just too late.
I don't either. I don't either. But
how was your
bye week?
My bye week was good. I actually did something, not just on my bye week, but today that I'm trying to think of the last time I did in my life. And I swear to God, I think there's a real chance I haven't done it more than a decade. And it actually really was scary and confusing for me to do. And I bought tickets to a sporting event. I'm trying to think about it. I can't figure out when the last time is I would have done this, because for UCF football, my parents had season tickets my whole childhood, and I went with them. I went as a student in 2015, so I just flashed my little student ID and go in, and then I started covering the team in 2016. I've covered them ever since. There are basically 3 people on earth I go to sporting events with, and it's my mom, my dad, or you. And in all of those situations, I'm not the one who buys the tickets. Like, you always handle the tickets when we go somewhere. So I don't know when I've ever done it.
Surely you've bought Magic tickets at some point.
My parents had bought Magic tickets because when we were in college and we'd go, I would not buy the Magic tickets. When we'd go in college, my parents for Christmas, they used to have, when the Magic sucked, there was like this fast break pass thing you could get, which was tickets to like 14 games and all that money. I would get that as my Christmas present. I don't know if I've ever in recent, as an adult, purchased tickets to a sporting event.
When this is, again, not the point of this whole podcast, but when you would go, in the last 2 or 3 years, every time you've been to a Magic game, has it been with your parents?
It's either been with you or with my parents. Yeah.
That's bizarre. I buy tickets all the time. I mean, obviously,
but you go to sporting events alone. I don't leave my place alone. I have to if I'm going outside, it's to see someone. I'm afraid to be alone in public. Yeah. So but I overcame that. Huh. I did it in the most mature way possible. I swear to God, I Googled UCF Baylor tickets. I clicked on the first link that popped up, and I bought tickets. So
can't wait till you come back the next podcast and you're like, I bought fake tickets and I had to deal with that on the day of.
I think there is such a real chance of that. I think that is genuinely on the table.
Where'd you buy them from? No free ads. Where'd you buy them from?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Kind of this is so. It's funny because I buy tickets so often, and it's such a thing for me to go to sporting events that I will just look at it. I'll look at a ticket app every day, just as part of my routine. Okay, yeah, that's real.
That's legit. Okay,
yeah, that's legit.
We're good. Shout out to SeatGeek for appearing first in Google.
I'll open up a ticket app. I think the last time I did that was 3 hours ago. Didn't buy tickets, but I do it all the time. So
I was a little scared. I realized I didn't. The app was cool though. Showed me what the view would look like from the seat. So I was.
I love how you're telling me this, and everybody listening. This is a unique experience, I think, just for you.
The sports podcast that I am a co-host of, explaining how I bought sport tickets today, and I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Other people take care of that for me whenever I do this. I mean, you are the ticket. I was about to call you the ticket master, but that term's taken.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be associated with Ticketmaster either.
I can't recall ever going to a sporting event with you where you didn't buy the tickets and I just Venmo you. You've just always been the one who handles that.
I think that's because I just enjoy it. It's something that does something for me mentally. I just wish they'd bring back paper tickets. When we went to the Memphis game, we had paper tickets.
I remember that less because I cared and more because you were really excited that we had paper tickets.
I missed it. I retweeted a tweet today about bringing paper tickets back. So anyway. This was our first topic of the podcast because we don't have a game to revisit after the bye week. We just got Baylor to preview, and I don't know, something about it being Baylor week has me terrified just because of what happened 2 years ago.
I didn't see that coming because I really hadn't given that angle any thought at all, just because that feels like a lifetime ago. And literally in the last couple of days, I've been I'm feeling bad feelings just because because I think this is gonna be a tough game, but B, just because that 2023 Baylor game had such a lasting impact on not just my mental health, but who I am as a person. And I think a lot of UCF fans feel that way. It
was traumatic.
It is genuinely, for bad reasons, it's one of the seminal moments of UCF football history. that rise of it being the first Big 12 game, first Big 12 home game, and it's this big giant affair, and UCF goes out to this huge lead, and they're beating the hell out of them, and it's awesome, and everyone's having a good time, and then they just, what happens then. And I will think about that day with pain and sadness for the rest of my life. But hey, UCF has a chance to retake a winning record in their series with Baylor. If they win, have the Fiesta Bowl in there.
I'm trying to counteract the vibes right now by wearing my Fiesta Bowl shirt.
There you go.
From 11 years ago.
I still like those photos of the Baylor shirts. They didn't get the sick win shirts that they had made.
Oh, yeah.
They obviously couldn't distribute. I have a trivia question for you, Bailey.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I was thinking about this. I don't know if you saw it. Well, I know you saw it because I sent it to you. Scott Frost I don't know who asked the question. He was asked kind of a strange question. He was asked about the 2023 Baylor game, which obviously he had bigger fish to fry at that point in time. And he was asked what his message is to the team after they gave up 26 fourth quarter points to Baylor 2 years ago. And Frost just looked a little perplexed and was like, yeah, I wasn't here then.
He said, when did that happen?
Yeah, he said, when? Okay, so that was what got me this trivia question, because he said, when did that happen? And I thought to myself, I'm like, has no one told Scott Frost about what happened in UCF's Big 12 home opener? And so then I want to get deep into it. So I have a trivia question for you, Bailey. That game 2 years ago, how many UCF players on the team right now were on the roster for that game?
It's more than I was originally going to say because I already thought of a few more.
Some of them are starters right now.
Yeah. I won't be able to name all of them, but I'm just going to go with 8.
There are 11.
Oh, 11. Okay.
I know that turnover is crazy in college football now, but a game that happened literally 2 years ago, and there are only 11 holdovers from that game on the roster is pretty crazy. And
do you have the list or no?
I do have the list. It was Paul Rubel.
Oh, I was going to guess them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Game. Well, it's good I said that one first. All right, you got Paul Rubel.
Yeah. Paul Rubel, the Hendersons.
Yep.
Oh gosh. I've already run into the problem here. John Walker.
Yep.
He was here.
Yep.
Isaiah Nixon, is he here yet?
Yep, that's right. You got 5 of them.
There cannot possibly be anyone else on offense, surely. You're looking at me weird.
I didn't say these people played in the game.
I know, but I'm just trying. Oh, is this the people that I would know?
You know all these names. Yeah, you know all these names.
Oh, well, I mean, I know most of the roster, but is it? Oh, okay. Bradell Richardson? He was a freshman last year.
Nope,
yeah,
he was not here.
last year.
Wrong.
You're
missing 6 guys in total.
Yeah, I think I'm tapped out, even though I'm definitely going to know them when you say them. Right.
Only 2 of them are offensive players.
2 of them are offensive players?
Yep.
Jakari was a redshirt. He redshirted that year, didn't he?
Jakari Brown? He was not.
Yeah, wasn't he? No, was he not? No, I'm thinking of the year that Timmy spent when he redshirted and couldn't play.
Yes. I think we might have to call it, man.
Yeah, let's call it.
All right, so on defense, you missed Braden Marshall.
Oh, duh.
Malachi Lawrence.
No.
Derek LeBlanc. And you also missed Jamal Johnson, Cameron Kinney, and Brock Hansel.
Brock Hansel, give me a break.
Give me a break. He's played. He played in UCF.
Yeah, and he messed up the final score of that game.
Yeah, he did.
Ruined everything. Yeah, no, I should have had those, but I could have probably spent the next 20 minutes, and I would have maybe come up with 1 or 2 more.
Which should be fair, because when you look at that list, it's like Frost obviously is the de facto offensive coordinator, and he's the head coach, but he works mainly with the offense. So I guess just literally Brock Hansel and Cam Kinney have not said anything to him about what happened.
Or Paul Rubel.
Or Paul Rubel, obviously, have not said anything to him about what happened last time they played Baylor. So, which I wouldn't say anything about that either if it happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, does Frost need to know? I don't know if he does.
I was laughing at that notion because it's like even if he did know, why would you address that this week? Like, there's just it has nothing to do with anything.
And then before we get into our preview, the one last thing. I need a ruling from our audience here because I just showed you the Fiesta Bowl shirt that I'm wearing. I was on that fateful day in 2023. I was wearing this shirt with a baseball jersey over it. So this Saturday, do I have to not wear this shirt? You can give me your opinion, but I'm also just fielding calls.
If I were you, I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't risk it.
Because I thought about it and I was like, oh, is it even bad that I'm wearing it for this podcast? But I'm like, I've worn it for other podcasts since then. So
there's an argument to be made that since there were two components of your clothing here, that like one represents them being up 35-7 and one represents the collapse, but you're just gambling which is which. Like you don't know if the jersey or the shirt.
Well, I definitely was not going to wear the jersey. I was not going to repeat the same same look because
But the jersey could have been the part that worked. Like the shirt could be like you could ditch the jersey and UCF just gets killed. Like
was it the hat? Was it you have to wear a different hat?
I would wear a different hat. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely will. I don't wear that hat anymore anyway. So, yeah. All right. I don't even know if I need other opinions then. I might just completely not even risk
UCF's going to come out and be like, we're wearing night mode on the road just for fun. let's take it back.
Oh, gosh. All right. UCF Baylor Saturday. Oh, we didn't even know this the llast time we talked. Saturday at noon on ESPNU. That was released this weekend. UCF comes in at 4-3, 1-3 in the Big 12. Baylor is 4-4, 2-3 in the Big 12. And good thing we have a lot of time because the facts you may not know.
I love that we're filling the time we'd usually talk about the last week's game. We're just filling it with pure nonsense. Like we're extending this way too long. Go ahead.
Yeah, skip to like 15 minutes if you want just pure game preview stuff. But facts you may not know. Last time UCF played a game was their homecoming game. This weekend is Baylor's homecoming game, which we've now mentioned that you will be there for. Yes. And this is just history I've learned throughout just doing this segment, history is so stupid because again, like I had one of these a few weeks ago, I think, where multiple different schools claimed something. Baylor is one of the few schools that claim to be the originator of the homecoming concept. And I have some background on that where I actually think I agree with them.
Okay.
So in 1910, Illinois students came up with this idea to get alums back to campus for a football game. They had a baseball game too, a track meet, other events. They added 5,000 temporary seats to accommodate an estimated crowd of 12,000, and Illinois won 3-0. And the Daily Illini predicted that after this successful weekend, that other schools would follow their quote unquote lead.
Okay, that sounds to me like homecoming. So I'm curious how we land on you think Baylor.
So I said 1910. Michigan hosted quote unquote alumni games beginning in 1897. Where the current team would play an alumni team, which sounds super dangerous, but it was 1897.
It was a different time.
Then 1900, the format changed, and Michigan played Purdue in the alumni game. But Michigan didn't actually use the term homecoming until 1947. So I'm willing to rule them out because they played alumni games, not homecoming games.
Sure.
Northern Illinois traces its homecoming roots back to 1906, which is before Illinois. The homecoming football game, like how things began at Michigan, though, were also against alumni teams. And that continued until 1914 when it played an actual homecoming game. So ruling out Northern Illinois, too. Missouri claims that in 1911, which is after Illinois, that they had the first homecoming. And they had this unsubstantiated claim that Jeopardy used Missouri as an answer to this question about who hosted the first homecoming game. There's actually a really interesting story where I read this all. ESPN wrote about this like last year. And Missouri had been saying, well, yeah, Jeopardy used it, and they had some other thing. It was a Trivial Pursuit, I think, that they said, like, credited them with it, too. As part of the story, they contacted Jeopardy, and the Jeopardy writers were like, we can find no record of us actually asking that question. They pointed to a 2021 question that had a different wording that absolutely didn't credit them. It was just, like, one of the earliest of, like, tradition, like, one of the earliest of this tradition. So I think Missouri is crazy. And even in the article, this says, what's not in dispute, however, is that in 1909, Baylor hosted a homecoming weekend that featured all the elements of a typical homecoming weekend today. Took months of planning and included a pep rally, a bonfire, a parade, and a football game. Baylor beat TCU 6-3. All the evidence suggests this was the first actual homecoming game. So I think it was Baylor.
I still think I'm with Illinois.
Why?
Because I need to know which one did it. And then, like, it sounds like Illinois was the one where other schools went, oh, we should do that then.
So that's the weird thing is I think Baylor started it and did it first. But this is the weird part where it's like Baylor hosted it first, but wasn't the reason it picked up because they didn't host another one until 1915.
Yeah, I think I'm giving it to Illinois. I think I'm siding
But they didn't have
Illinois.
the first one. And they didn't originate the concept.
But they're the ones who they had the first version that became the concept.
The conclusion, but that's the weird thing is like Baylor did all the normal traditional stuff like you see in homecomings now, but they didn't do it because from what they could uncover, it was like it's very expensive to do. And it didn't become an annual tradition for them until later. So this was even the conclusion drawn in the article was that Baylor deserves credit for being first. It didn't have as much of an impact on the early growth of the tradition as other ones.
Right.
So
okay.
I just thought that was interesting. Did you know all that?
I didn't know any of that. I was hoping you were going to go for, because I do know about how, for those, I was hoping you would go with if our listeners don't know, TCU as a university was based in Waco, Texas, as was Baylor, and TCU's campus around that time, actually, we should see what the alumni were doing after that game, was burnt to the ground. And to this day, many people believe that Baylor was responsible for the fire to run TCU out of the city. TCU ended up rebuilding in Dallas.
That is crazy. I forgot about all that. We talked about that on the podcast before for some reason.
I'm sure we did, because I didn't know about that till UCF joined the conference, and I was just so flabbergasted. This is a league where one school has burnt down the campus of another. That I don't know.
I don't know if it would have been like when we did mascot rankings or one of the Big 12 like centric topics we did. I remember that coming up because we
did a lot of Big 12 historian legwork when we first. It was
fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. I learned stuff that I would have never otherwise known, and that's what I'm doing with this stupid segment that I think people like, hopefully. Anyway, let's actually talk about the game. And I did say the 15-minute mark. I was pretty much right. Let's get into the preview. Big topic, big storyline. Can UCF pull off what I think would be considered an unlikely win on the road against Baylor?
Absolutely fair to say.
I think they opened up as 6-point underdogs, and history, I don't know, it's only been 2.5 seasons, but UCF on the road in Big 12 play, not good.
Not a pretty thing.
2-9, 1-4 in 2023, 1-3 in 2024, 0-2 in 2025. So 2-9, and
I have good news or potentially bad news. We've been at both of those wins.
Oh,
and I will be in attendance.
You will be there,
but you will not be. So we're going to find out who was getting that done.
That means if they lose, I'm going to get blamed.
And rightfully so, because now you have the double whammy with the shirt and not being there. But
and we did the whole thing for the homecoming game at UCF, where one of our listeners, Cameron, said like I'm supposed to be banned from UCF now because I wasn't at the game and they actually won.
Yes, that's correct. Please stop coming. Terry Mahadri agrees. But I think
he does.
Shout out to the listeners who get that joke. But I think that it's kind of funny because obviously UCF's journey through the Big 12 these last 2.5 years has been a lot of struggles. And we talk about it as an overarching thing. And I think it's gotten more painful in the last couple of weeks as Cincinnati, Houston, and BYU were all just ascending to the top of the league, which is very fun. But it's so much of it has been on the road. Like they've stolen some wins at home here and there over these first 2 seasons. The road has just been hell on earth. And it's a tough spot to be in now because I don't want to get on this podcast. I would be betraying myself if I got on this podcast and said that I think UCF's going to lose the space game. And I'm not going to say that on this one. We'll talk next week. But there is a very real argument to be made that this is a literal must-win game for UCF. And they're coming off a must-win game that they won, so that's great. But UCF is 4-3 right now. They have to find 2 more wins to go to a bowl. And we all understand that those of us who are saying that was the goal for the season, that would be a monumental accomplishment for this staff with the roster they had to come in and get this team to a bowl. And you've got at Baylor, who is struggling, who there is growing talk that Dave Aranda may be relieved of his duties in the coming weeks, potentially, given how things are going. Then you've got Houston, who's a top 25 team now and has 1 loss. Then you're at Texas Tech, who just a billionaire is just bankrolling their entire roster. Then you've got Oklahoma State, that you will beat Oklahoma State. They are 2015 UCFing hard right now. They do not want to be there. They spent, what was the thing? Their players were like celebrating an interception even after it was turned over. They were still just like happy for themselves. That like that team's checked out. They're gone. And then you've got at BYU, who like is undefeated and is probably going to the playoffs. So you need 2. The only 2 of these that feel on the table are at Baylor and Oklahoma State. You've got Oklahoma State in the bag, most likely. You probably got to win this one to get to a bowl. If you lose this, you're 4-4, which doesn't look bad, but then you have to steal. You really have to steal one, and maybe that's the space game. But
if you lose this one, you're banking on the space game magic just doing its thing.
And as much as I love and believe in the space game magic, because I didn't always believe in it, but after 2 years of UCF being objectively bad in the Big 12 and then just kicking the hell out of whoever showed up for that game, whether it be a bad Arizona team or a top 15 Oklahoma State team, I believe in the magic. I don't want to have the Magic's back against the wall. Like we like the magic as a nice additional thing and like the thing we're relying on. So it would be very cool because if you do win at Baylor, it's all gravy. Like you feel so good going into the last 4 games. Like you feel great about where things are at.
especially with this being, I know we just did the whole, like, they finally won a game in October thing, but like with this being the start of November, like this November slate, as you just ran down, is very, very tough. So if you lose this game and you lose, like you're probably going to be projected to against Houston, that Oklahoma State game becomes the only one where you think you're going to win. And that could mean a 5-7 overall finish. And after being, what did I say they were? 4-3?
Yep.
After being 4-3, finishing, with a 1-4 stretch.
Which I just want to get ahead of things now. If that happens, if that's how the season ends, I know that the fan base is going to be really pissed off because, that sucks. We'll miss out on a bowl. It'll also involve a lot of losing at the end of the season here.
Yeah.
If you told me before the season they're going to go 5-7 and that they'd win a couple games against Power 4 teams, 3 games against Power 4 teams, I'd be like, okay, that's a solid.
We talked
0.
about that.
I'm fine with that. Like, it sucks. I'd rather them go to a bowl, but,
I think when the schedule came out, we talked about how tough the finish is, but we kind of swapped. Like, we didn't think Houston was going to be this good, and we didn't really think Baylor was going to be that winnable. So it was like they're probably going to go. I mean, I think Oklahoma State we kind of knew wasn't going to be great, so we were thinking about it being maybe 2 wins as a ceiling in November, and now it's just a different game, but still probably 2 wins is the ceiling in November. Let they steal one.
Maybe. I think that I don't know, it's going to be kind of funny to see UCF fans because there were such like warm, fuzzy feelings on social media going into the bye week because they beat West Virginia. They blew them out. It's all great. UCF has a winning record. I am seeing the frustration, and I get it, of BYU. I mean, BYU is 8-0. Cincinnati is 7-1. Houston is 7-1. All of those teams are ranked. Cincinnati is going to be one of the game day teams this weekend. BYU's in the top 10 now. Like,
Houston will win this weekend and be 8-1 going into next week. So
yeah, without a doubt. So it's I get the frustration, and also like the stories have started to emerge of the G5 teams that the Big 12 have been such hits, and then it's just UCF, and it's been such a fall because it feels so long ago now. But when these 4 teams were added to the conference, the widely accepted belief among local media, national media, everyone was that UCF had far and away done the most to prepare for the leap, and that they were going to be able to be competitive the fastest. And now they're the last to do it, and aren't close necessarily to doing it. And I don't want that to turn into some larger talk of the program and its potential and where it's at, because to me, while unfortunate and while for narrative purposes it sucks, it's as simple to me as they are in year 1 of a coaching staff and those other programs aren't. Like, yeah, we can use Big 12 as a hallmark, as a benchmark, and we will as time goes. But I just hope you guys understood that when the decision was made that UCF was going to have to get Malzahn out of here, and then obviously Malzahn made that decision for himself and headed to FSU where things are going great. Like, we knew that's what this was going to be. Like, it was going to be a reset, and you were going to be behind every other program that wasn't resetting. Like, that is what it is. And it's unfortunate, but I think there's a silver lining for UCF in this, in that while it sucks to see those other teams all doing well right now, it's proven that it's possible. We've talked so much about, can the G5s show up and do something at the Big 12 level? And BYU is kind of a different situation because, they've always been closer to a P5 program than a G5 program, even when they weren't independent. But Cincinnati and Houston, if you go mess with the financial figures and everything, very similar to UCF as far as money they're working with. I think UCF outpaces both of them in fan support when they're good. To be honest, like, seeing the 2 other AAC teams have success multiple years into a coaching staff, that's not horrible news to me. It sucks right now, but it's like, hey, it's better than just they're going to all be bottom feeders forever. It shows that the roadmap's there.
Yeah, and I think we, for the most part, as a fan base, at least the rational ones, understood that was the case when we went through a coaching change. It's like, yeah, it's why it sucked. We talk about the fact that they blew the opportunity in 2022 to win the AAC. And how, because we knew maybe going into Big 12 there'd be some building years, but it's why not capitalizing on what we thought was a pretty good roster last year was so catastrophic, because it was like once that fell flat, it was like, okay, even if Gus stays, which wasn't ever really going to seem like that was the case by the end of the year. It's like if he stays, like we're still kind of starting from square one. They're going to have to do a lot to overhaul everything. And so they brought in new coaching staff, and we were kind of understanding, like, yeah, it's going to be back to building. And we haven't had success in the Big 12 yet, which sucks and is frustrating, but you're hoping that right now they're on the path toward building toward it. And the very early stages of it, like that's the thing that kind of scary. And almost as a parallel, I mean, obviously Baylor's been in it for a lot longer, but like you mentioned Dave Aranda maybe being on the chopping block. Like, if UCF wins this game, does he get fired? Can they get fired?
Sure feels like that's the way it's heading. There's been a lot more buzz than usual of that this week that he's probably at the end of the line here, which I don't know. I like Dave Aranda. I know if you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't care about that one way or another. So that's unfortunate. But I also, given it's a must-win game for UCF, I don't think going into a situation where that stuff is going on, where, it's good for UCF. Can't be bad news that, because that's going to affect the team to some degree. And I know that like people kind of argue back and forth on what the mental impact is when there are rumors about your coach or whatever, but I don't know. They also had, I almost didn't want to throw this in the preview because their offensive line coach is no longer with the team as of this week. And Aranda said it was due to a personal matter. I don't think we know what that is or whether that's coaching related or something else related. So but I just think there's it just seems like there is a lot of uncertainty around that team right now.
And the thing is weird. It's like they were 4-2 and they've lost back-to-back games. One being at TCU, and you're kind of like, okay, like TCU's a solid team. Then TCU went and struggled with West Virginia. So you're like, okay, that loss looks a little worse now. And then they lost by 21 at Cincinnati this weekend, it was
never that close. Cincinnati kicked the hell out of them the whole game, and they came back.
It was 27-0, right? And then they almost did.
They almost did 2023. Cincinnati was up 27-0. Then it was 27-20, and then Cincinnati, unlike 2023 UCF, just very quickly shut the door on them.
Yeah. So I could see it where if they lose this game to a team that they're definitely going to look at UCF and say this team is not on our level. This is our home game. Like it's a home game. This is our homecoming game. If you lose that game for a third straight loss and fall to 4-5, with coming into the year, they were being talked about as like one of the dark horse Big 12 contenders, I think, with the offense they have. If they fix the defense, they thought this offense could get them. But being 4-5 with 3 straight losses and going into a bye week, like this would be the time, I think, to fire them. But
on top of that, I've said anecdotally, you've won the Baylor wars basically because we've had like 3 separate arguments on this podcast of being like, I think Baylor's good. And you're like, no, they're not. and it turns out they're not. On top of that, Shehan Jayaraja at CBS Sports wrote, I'd said to you anecdotally, I think on this podcast too, about how I've watched for some reason I've watched like 3 Baylor games this year and the crowd always just looks completely empty. And he at CBS Sports wrote a thing about how Aranda's time might be coming to an end and talked about how the fan base has largely checked out. Attendance has plummeted. So while UCF has struggled on the road in the Big 12, I don't think they're walking into the toughest home atmosphere in the world here. I know it's their homecoming, and that'll probably help a little bit. But Are
we talking like 2023 Cincinnati atmosphere?
Still
there were a lot of people there, but
still one of the worst road atmospheres I've been in. Sorry, Cincinnati fans. I know you. It seems like it's rocking now. Looks good on TV. It's not what I experienced in 2023. They announced.
I know they're listening to this still for some reason, so they're going to clip that, but.
It always happens. I say stuff about random fan bases and their fans find it. I don't understand how that happens, or why they're here in the first place. But Baylor's stadium seats 45,000, about the same as UCF's. They announced 35,000 for their last home game, which means it was probably in the 20s if they were announcing 35K. So
yeah.
So
that is the interesting thing is they haven't played at home in almost a month.
Yep.
So this is also I wonder how much of it's like all right, like back home because I mean it's fall. It's the whole thing is full. You only have so many of these weekends a year. So it's like, I wonder how much of it is like, we'll be there. It's homecoming. It's one of the few weekends we get at the stadium this season. Or if it's just like, no, like we're checked out and it's over.
I think it'll be a mix. I'm not expecting to be like one of the only fans in that stadium. No, I think they'll probably have a crowd. I just don't think it's going to be a very.
I have said that.
Wait, what did you say?
I said it's not going to be Houston, but
Houston is 8-1 and ranked and like a pretty light schedule going forward, like could realistically play for the Big 12 championship, and they're still looking for their fans. They can't find them.
I said that without even, because I haven't really been watching that much Houston football, so I didn't know if they've
they still can't
suddenly
find them.
shown. Well, okay, well, that kind of sucks.
Maybe if Texas and Texas A&M agreed to play on Sundays, Houston would have some fans at their games, but for now, no one's there. But yeah,
that's brutal. All right, you want to jump into the offense and defense?
Let's do it.
And all that stuff. I almost said all that garbage. All that stuff. Starting with UCF's offense versus Baylor's defense. This is very unique because we know UCF's offense isn't like a high-flying group. They're not that great. Baylor's defense is not good.
No.
So I don't know. It's another one of those games where I'm like, can UCF's offense take advantage of a bad defense, or is it just like, which I like to think they could, like did it against West Virginia and put up 45 points into the defense score too. But
they've faced 2 bad defenses this year at the Power 4 level, and they've had their way with both of them, West Virginia and North Carolina. Those
both at home. I wonder if that's a thing.
I worry, and I don't fully like, and I feel like it's different for different sports. Like I know, like if you're like an NBA fan, like home and away doesn't really like it's whatever. Like who cares? Like college football, it's very much a thing. It's just hard to play well on the road, and no matter what the atmosphere walking into is. But I do wonder about that. But yeah, for Baylor's record and for some of the wins they have, because they have a couple impressive ones, like you talk about with like TCU, not Auburn, excuse me, SMU earlier in the year. They beat Kansas State. Like Kansas State just turned around, by the way. They've won 3 of their last 4 now, but their defense is not why they're doing that. Their defense has been what's holding them back. And that's part of why Aranda's on the chopping block, because he is a defensive coach. And that's kind of been the shock of not just that the defense is statistically bad. It's not even just that they don't have athletes thing. It's like guys are confused. Effort isn't there. There's mental mistakes. Like it has been a rough year defensively for Baylor.
It's been bad enough. And I always hesitate to bring up LSU on this podcast because people will just come after me.
Congratulations, by the way.
He obviously, thank you. He obviously was LSU's defensive coordinator when they won the championship, and that's what got him the Baylor jobs. He did a really good job at LSU. I was seeing people, obviously Brian Kelly was fired. I was seeing people throw names around as far as like, oh, who do you want? Who can be able to staff? Someone's like, well, Aranda's about to get fired at Baylor. Like, bring him back as a defense coordinator. So you're like, I don't know if we want that. Like, his defenses right now suck. But I don't know if it's a coordinator versus head coach thing. Like, you never know. But his defense has been that bad where it's like even the fans of the program where he won a national championship as a defensive coordinator are like, I don't know if that's a good idea. So, well,
Aranda is one of those guys who kind of like, he's always been an unusual guy. Like if you don't follow larger college football, he is not like the normal head coach. Like, I don't know. He's always been kind of an unusual guy, but it seemed like he's kind of dealt with sort of similarly to what Gus was dealing with at UCF. I just don't know if he's been able to find a way to define himself and what being a head coach means in this era of college football. Like part of Baylor's struggles that's still hitting them is they were very late to NIL. They were one of the last Big 12 teams to hop on that boat. And like, I don't mean like UCF hasn't always had all the money they want or need to participate in NIL as much as they would like to. And like, no one hearing that should be surprised. We understand that they don't have the money that some of the other Big 12 programs have and a lot of other Power 4 programs have, but UCF's always been trying. Like they understand that's the problem and they're doing everything they can to rectify it and get money wherever they can. Baylor was one of the last schools that was like, this isn't going to be a thing here. Like, we don't think that's how you build a program. We're not going to, and that doesn't just set you back a season when you basically like, that would be like, if like the Atlanta Hawks, the NBA were just like, yeah, there's a salary cap, but we're just going to pay out a quarter of that. We don't think they're worth all that money. It's like, okay, good luck. Like it just set them back so far. And I just think that it is similar to Gus, where it just feels like in the NIL portal era, this guy who was just like a defensive genius at LSU. I mean, he was revered for how good he was. And he turned down a lot of jobs before he ended up at Baylor. I just don't think he's been able to figure out what his role is in modern college football.
Well, that's what's like, if I'm not mistaken, the whole thing this offseason, because like last year, toward the end of the year, they picked it back up. He saved his job. The offense helped him save his job. And the offense brought back the majority of their guys, including their quarterback, which we'll talk about in a second. But the whole idea was they went out and they actually got some guys in the portal to hopefully fix the defense. And if they fixed the defense the way they thought they would, they thought that the way they ended last year combined with this offense, they would be able to compete this year. And clearly the defense, it wasn't fixed in the offseason. Yeah. So, I mean, if I can get some numbers here, like they're allowing 31.4 points per game. They're 116th in the country. That jumps up a little bit in Big 12 play. They're allowing 34.2 points per game. They're 89th in third down defense. They are 76th in pass defense. They're 110th in rushing defense, which that's the thing. It's like if UCF can run the ball, which the thing I sent you the other day, and we were talking about, it's like UCF is 24th in the country in rushing. That is garbage. That's so not
misleading. It's unbelievably misleading.
It is the explosive plays and the fact that they just played West Virginia. That's what it is.
It's really Jaden Nixon. Is what it is, because he just keeps having one insane run a game where he goes like 85 yards and it just inflates everything. But
which I do wonder. I mean, obviously UCF just had their bye week, so I wonder. And then we talked about it with Chris Boyle last week. Like a lot of the bye week is coaches getting out and recruiting and stuff. But I'm curious to see how things look for this offense coming out of the bye. I wonder if they'll be a little bit more settled in. I wonder if there'll be any changes. And it's funny to say settled in. We're in November now almost. But like, I don't know. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but Scott Frost said on Monday in his press conference that Taven Jackson will start on Saturday. I think that's the first time all season he has come out and said who's starting at quarterback. So
And Taven has absolutely earned that. He is. Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's definitely been. I think about even with the injury stuff. When I think about how we talked about him this offseason, and part of it was just what was going on. Like we got through spring ball. Like we all assumed when they got Taven that he would start. I don't think any of us had a particularly high opinion of him. It was just that's who they were able to land. And spring ball happens, and no one's emerging. We went to a couple of the open practices. We didn't think you looked good. We had podcasts about it, and some of those guys just turned on in game, and he worked really hard. And I mean, I'm thinking back to what I thought for most of the offseason, both before and after what we saw in spring ball. And I'm like, he has far exceeded what I was expecting. And I don't think he's necessarily like that big play guy who's just going to go crazy and like put up insane numbers and is super fun to watch. He just hasn't, I'm going to knock on wood. He just hasn't made a lot of mistakes this year, man. Like he's just, I mean, it really is just, he's just been a really steady presence when he's been able to be out there. And I'm hopefully having an extra week to heal up here and Frost announcing him as the starter. I'm expecting good things from him against a pretty bad defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like he's been steady, which is why it's so painful that I've been happy with the receivers, but like they don't have the receiving core you would love to have. I guess like the consistency from it, and they don't have the run game. Like if they had a really good run game and not just a fake 24th in the country run game, like and actually like if they had one of Gus's run games, by the way, like just I don't know. By the way, happy birthday, Gus. Today's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Gus Malzahn.
The like run games from those a couple years ago, obviously with RJ and all that, and that offensive line, they had that with the way Taven is playing, and not making a lot of mistakes, hitting big throws when he needs to. It'd be great. It'd be awesome.
It'd be awesome. It'd be very cool.
It's not the case. So it's just like you go into another game and you're like, have they done enough to kind of solidify some things and figure maybe some things out in the bye week, maybe the offensive line, getting there with Danny Hope, like on the off week, trying to fix some things that you can't fix a lot with this offensive line right now, but it's like maybe they can patch some things up the best way they can. But we were already
seeing that. We were seeing that to a degree against West Virginia. And obviously, being West Virginia and playing a bad team helped, but they cut down the number of guys who were getting out there. They went from 9 guys who got 10 plus reps on the offensive line to 6 guys, and that's in a blowout. Right. They were rotating guys differently. They stopped platoon swapping the guards. They were doing like one-on-one rotation. So like Paul Rubel didn't play, and Owen Spell actually were pretty freaking solid. So it does, like, I don't think it's been static. I do think that they've worked out some stuff with the offensive line. And this is another, like I said, a UCF's offense. It's looked bad when it's played the good defenses. It looked pretty good when it's played the bad offense, or when it's played the bad defenses, excuse me. And I do feel like, to your point, one thing I'm curious about is one thing that has become more clear to me as the season has gone on, and this isn't really a one-game thing, is this isn't an anti-Miles Montgomery take in any way, but it's just more. I remember so specifically, this is going to go all the way back to 2021 when we had that documentary. So we got to see the behind the scenes of UCF football. And that was an offense that wasn't super talented. And Gus is, especially with the injuries, and Gus's whole thing was we have to find who our playmaker is. We've got to find our playmaker. And Gus ended up settling on Ryan O'Keefe, and they were just trying to give him the ball in a lot of creative ways. I'm kind of there with Jaden Nixon. I think they just need to find a way to give him the ball more. I love seeing his insane stat lines every week of like he touched the ball 4 times and had 120 all-purpose yards. But like time to start taking advantage of that a little more heavily, because it's clear that when he gets the ball in his hands, he can be explosive. He is a hard player to stop. Yeah,
and I think I don't know. I know how much they love Miles, and I like Miles a lot, and he's one of the team leaders. And I don't think even if they do lean into that for Jaden means Miles is going to disappear. But I hope that they kind of found that, in the last couple of weeks and into the bye week that like, we need to get this. Because I don't know. It's especially frustrating to me that's like, Jaden Nixon's a senior, right? So like he's not coming back. And it's like we're getting a glimpse of like this electric playmaker, but the season's almost over and we're still at the point where he's getting like 8 touches a game. Yeah. Like, no, I want to see him get 20 touches a game and see what he can do with them. So we'll see. I will see if they start to do that a little bit. I mean, this Baylor defense is not good. Like they have 8 sacks in 8 games, so it's not like they have a great pass rush. They have 5 interceptions as a team in 8 games, including 2 from safety Jacob Redding. He's been the leader for them. They don't have a lot of like, as speaking of playmakers, they don't have a lot of playmakers. Like they've just kind of just been coasting through the season, doing not great. Like I was gonna say doing okay. They haven't been doing okay. So. I don't know. You would think that this is a team that you could see. I'm not saying they're going to put up 45 like they did on West Virginia or even like, I don't know. But it just seems like a defense that you shouldn't be stifled by.
I agree. And it being on the road,
as good as it is.
It being on the road scares me a little bit, obviously, because that just is what it is. But I mean, I think that part of what makes me feel a little more comfortable and hopeful is there have been games earlier this year where we've said, well, there's this, the defense has this one weakness. So UCF, if they can just find a way to attack that one weakness, maybe they can make something happen. And that's hard to do, obviously, when you have an offense that isn't like the best offense in the world, but they can hurt Baylor in a lot of ways here. This defense has a lot of problems, and it's not a situation where, well, if the run game doesn't get going, there's nothing you can do. Honestly, Taven has been such an impressive passer, and it's felt like that's been improving as time has gone on over the season. I'm kind of curious, like, for whatever Baylor's rushing stats are, this does feel like a game where UCF can try to just pick them apart through the air, which has kind of been when the offense has looked its best this season. That's what it's been doing. So, and then if you can supplement that with some nice Miles runs, some nice Jaden runs, get him in some creative situations. Yeah, like I can see the roadmap for this offense having a pretty solid day.
I know we've largely given up on the Jakari Brown packages, but this feels like a game where it could come back.
I don't think we gave up on them. I think he just hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, that's true too. I forgot about that.
I mean, that's been it. I mean, they let's not forget against West Virginia, they were like, Davi, go pretend you're Jakari. Like, they clearly want to use those packages.
So if he's healthy, this could be a Jakari. He could use
also, I didn't hate Davi doing that. I know it's always tough to like keep in mind he was playing a very bad team, so you wonder how that plays a role, but he was not bad.
And late in the game, and like late in garbage time in a blowout.
No, he got a couple earlier ones. He got a couple first half.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, early in the game, here and there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think you could exploit that a little bit with this defense, but here's what I don't know. This is so where it's like UCF's offense kind of mid, Baylor's defense pretty bad. This is a good UCF defense against a very good Baylor offense.
Yes.
That is
scary good Baylor offense.
Baylor is tied for 24th in scoring offense, scoring 36.3 points per game. That's down to 32 points per game in Big 12 play. UCF allowing 17.1 points per game on the season, 23.5 per game in Big 12 play. They've just been solid. And I don't know. It's like a battle of heavyweights here because I think UCF has it in them to slow down this offense, but what does slowing down this Baylor offense look like?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I have been like the biggest cheerleader for UCF's defense this year. You guys know that. I've been super impressed with them. I've been super impressed with Alex Grinch. We shouldn't be surprised. We talked about all offseason. They had a lot of playmakers in a lot of different spots, and that's shown. They've done really good. They've been one of the better defenses in the Big 12 period. What scares me about Baylor is how prolific the offense is. And also, this is their first time this season facing an offense like this where they're just going to throw it on you over and over and over. And I'm a little more concerned about how that goes because we haven't really seen them face that flavor of offense yet. So I'm concerned. And the thing about Baylor is for all the problems they've had this season, if you look at their schedule and the teams they've played, they're inconsistent. And what's happened is they've put themselves in a lot of holes because the offense starts out flat and then suddenly they're behind and they can't really climb out of it. But the one thing that's happened in basically every game is there's been a stretch in every game of a quarter and a half, 2 quarters where the offense just gets hot and the defense just can't stop them. And they put up 17 straight points, 24 straight points. That's happened in like every game. So I while as much as I've enjoyed UCF's defense this year, and I still feel really good about them, not just in this game, but going forward, I think it's a tall order to be like, hey, shut this team down, hold them to 17 points. I don't think that's going to happen. I think UCF's offense is going to have to find a way to outscore them. And you just hope that Baylor's the outside noise and their defensive woes and the offensive inconsistency all come together in a way that UCF's defense is able to do enough that the offense can stay on top. Yeah.
But before I say a couple of things that might concern you more and then fix that by like saying some things that might help, like something like you can't just, I don't know, you can't really just expect it to happen. But like something as like simple as an early turnover for UCF's defense could go a long way in this game.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is like you said, Baylor's just going to throw it and throw it and throw it. They are the top passing offense in the country, 344.3 yards per game. UCF's defense, like you said, they haven't been facing pass-heavy teams, but they have the 7th-ranked pass defense in the country right now. Baylor's 89th in rushing, 141 yards per game is not bad, but they're 89th. UCF is surprisingly worse against the run. This kind of surprised me that they're 69th in run defense, giving up 145 yards per game, almost 146. But this is a team that's going to throw a lot. They're not good on third downs, so if you can get them to third down, that'd be good. Baylor is 83rd in third down offense, 38.8%. UCF's defense on third downs, 12th in the country, 29.2%. And then here's the other thing, what I just mentioned, getting an early turnover would be huge. Baylor's turnover differential as a team is -7, and that's because they have 14 turnovers as a team in 8 games.
That's insane.
So they will turn the ball over. And if you can get that early, if you could stack some of those early and build a lead, I mean, again, this is a team that's built to come from behind probably because of the passing offense they have, but there are some holes here, and I don't know. It's hard. They're holes that are hard to just straight up say like, yeah, let's just do this, because you can't just be like, yeah, let's just get turnovers. Like, you always want to do that, but this is a team that has been turning the ball over a lot. Saying that, like, Sawyer Robertson, 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, 7 picks. They've got receivers all over the place that are, I mean, when they have the number one passing offense, it makes sense that they've got a bunch of good receivers, but Josh Cameron leads the way, 44 catches, 576 yards, 4 touchdowns. Tight end Michael Trigg, who's just a huge guy, 35 catches, 525 yards, 5 touchdowns. They've got playmakers, obviously. They've got a high-scoring offense, a high-flying passing offense, but I don't know. I just keep looking at some of these things, and I'm like, I could see a path there for UCF more than I thought there might be.
Yeah.
And that scares me because expectations.
Yeah, and that's what's so stupid about this is like when you actually when you look at it on paper, which is what you want to look at, as Kirk Herbstreit once said in 2018, I think your takeaway is UCF should win when you look at what's happening on both sides of the ball. I've watched Baylor this year. I've watched Sawyer Robertson. He's really freaking good, and I just have a hard time. I would love it to be wrong, but it's like I'm kind of expecting the defense to have its worst day of the season. That's just kind of where I'm at. There's too many weapons. They're too potent. You just have to hope that whenever they go cold, which they do every game, like I said, you just have to hope that UCF's offense is in position to score when that's going on, and UCF can get a lead and hold on to it. But I don't know. I'd love to be wrong, but just the idea of UCF walking out of there with like winning like 31-17 or something, that does not feel possible to me. That doesn't feel on the table with this offense. I think you might see 2 offenses that just go crazy potentially, and I don't know if UCF wins, if that's the type of game it turns into. Yeah,
I don't. If it's a full on shootout, I don't like that. We can get into our score predictions, and before I even explain mine, it's just like I didn't think about this game that much last week, and I told you on Saturday morning that I went to sleep Friday night thinking the game was like tomorrow. Like I was like thinking that I was only a week away from the space game. It was confusing, but didn't think much about UCF football last week. Kind of just enjoyed the fact that they won the game before the bye week. When I started diving into this game, it was only then that I start to like have some hopium and like convince myself that UCF's going to win. I don't fully believe they're going to, but I picked them to anyway. Kind of how I did at Kansas State, which that didn't work out for me. But
score prediction?
My score prediction, which I actually did write down this time, and I actually have one before this podcast. I wrote it down on a note card right next to me. It sounds scary. UCF 30, Baylor 28. It just sounds like you, especially you in the stadium, are going to be freaking out. I'm going to be freaking out on my couch or wherever I'm watching it. But it doesn't feel like one, like you said, 31-17. Don't really see that happening. Would love for it to happen, but don't see it. What do you think?
I have a very small sample size of watching UCF play a game in Texas, and it was one of the worst nights of my life, even though UCF won the game. That, of course, being TCU last year. Did not enjoy 1 second of that night until they won. Then it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, that doesn't bode well. But what's your prediction?
I picked Baylor. I have Baylor 34-28. I hope I'm wrong. And the good news is that our score predictions be nothing, and they should influence your day in no way because they're stupid. It's dumb we do this. It's dumb anyone does this. It's impossible to predict. But I just feel like I think we're feeling good because we're coming off UCF getting a big win. And I just feel like I'm getting a little ahead of myself by just diving into like, yeah, I think UCF's going to go on the road to a Power 4 team with a really, really high-powered offense and probably the best quarterback outside of like Brendan Sorsby they're going to face all year and just roll. I don't know. I want them to win, and I absolutely think they can. I don't think they're going to get what?
I want them to win, says the UCF fan and alum, two-time alum.
I'm just podcaster. We've had games over in this Big 12 span where we do these preview pods, and we have to sit here and be like, heads up, guys, they're not winning. And guess what? Some of those are coming in November, but this isn't one of those. It's a really important game. And I think part of why I want them to win so badly is if they do, the sense of relief is just going to be extraordinary because they're set up so well at that point. Like, you just go take care of business, go to Oklahoma State. Then we can spend the rest of the season just being like, wouldn't it be cool if they knocked off BYU or Texas Tech or when they win Space Game Magic does its thing? And like, that's what I'm hopeful we get. And I really do think it's possible. I'm worried about if this offense can keep up with their offense. I'm worried about it. And I don't know if this is the one game where I just don't necessarily think UCF's defense has what it needs to shut them down.
See, I think that's where some of my score prediction comes from is like just wanting to think positively and wanting to be spending the next week thinking like, wow, they're 5-3. and if the space game does its thing, they're going to be 6-3. And then you talk about a 7-win season. If they steal one, like you can just start to get crazy a little bit. Yeah. And I want that for us. And I do. And I'm putting a lot on this defense and a lot of faith in this defense. I think that like while you think they might have their worst day of the season, like I'm not going that far right now. Like I could see them playing really well. I don't know if they're going to shut them down, but I could see them playing really well and us come away being like, wow, this defense, like as good as we've said this defense is, maybe it's even better. Yeah. A lot of it is just me really.
I think that's on the table though. I don't think that's, I mean, it is a little bit of copium, but I don't think, or hopium, or you want to call it. I don't think that's an insane notion. I think that could happen. I just think that at the end of the day, as much as I like this defense, I think the part of the defense I trust the least is the secondary, even though it still had a really good season, and this is going to kind of have to be their day. Yeah. So,
and a lot of it's too, just before we wrap this up, like the intangibles for me, where it's like things might be spiraling for Baylor.
Yep.
They are coming off of 2 pretty bad losses on the road. Fan base isn't really happy right now. UCF is coming off a bye week and coming off a win before their bye week. So I don't know. Something about that is like maybe there's something there where UCF can keep building and kind of contribute to this downfall for Baylor.
And it's also
years ago.
It's funny that I'm going to say this for Baylor given 2023, but the other thing too is when you have a program things are spiraling a little bit, and the players are probably starting to understand that this coaching staff is not going to be here next year most likely. This doesn't strike me as the type of team where if UCF jumps out to a 14-0 lead, I don't know if this is going to be the team that puts everything they have out there to fight back and retake. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the vibe we're getting from Baylor right now. So,
I wouldn't think that if it weren't for what happened in Cincinnati, where like when they were down 27-0, I thought they were completely dead and it was over.
Yeah, but it's 27-0. Cincinnati's just screwing around. They get it to 27-20, and Cincinnati just immediately shuts the door on them. Like it becomes a game, and Cincinnati goes, "Oh, okay," and does what good teams do and just shuts them down.
Would you, if that happened, would you trust UCF in that situation to do what good teams do and be like, "All right, we're going to shut them down"?
No. But keep in mind that I feel like this feeds my argument even more because Baylor just did this. They just last week did the big comeback. They're a few days removed from let's do our big comeback, and then they just got the door closed on them. I'm just not seeing the mental motivation.
So remember how I put the podcast at stake for the Jacksonville State game?
Yeah.
Can I do it again right now?
With what? If UCF goes up 35-7 and then blows
the game if we have a repeat of what happened 2 years ago, I think I'm done.
Okay, but it can't be repeated because the importance of that game as a program milestone played such a role in why that was so terrible.
Yeah,
this is just a game. Like it would suck, but you know,
if they're up 28 points, well on their way to setting themselves up, they're gonna go to a bowl. All they have to do now is beat Oklahoma State, and then that is ripped out from underneath them. It's not going to rival the first Big 12 home game, but it's still going to hurt.
Okay, fine. We'll make it. If UCF is up by 28 points on Baylor and loses the game, we will end the podcast.
All right, cool.
All right,
sounds good. Oh man, I hope that doesn't happen. Hope I'm talking to you guys soon. All right, football news. We'll
just rebrand. We'll just make a new podcast.
Yeah. Just a quick update from UCF and the NFL. RJ Harvey had a big breakout game. He ran 7 times for 46 yards and 2 touchdowns. And caught a 5-yard touchdown, 3 total touchdowns in the Broncos' 44-24 win over the Cowboys. He's up for Offensive Rookie of the Week, which would be cool. And it was just nice to see him finally getting some national attention for a 3-touchdown day and getting some love because
very therapeutic.
Yeah, it hasn't been like the big breakout rookie season and it's only been halfway through the season, but this was the one where I was like, okay, finally we starting to see RJ be RJ a little bit more.
Hopefully that leads to some more games like this because that was very fun to see everybody kind of discovering RJ on the biggest stage there is for football.
Yeah. Game of the week, UCF women's soccer. They are 11-2-4, putting together a really nice season. 5-1-4 in the Big 12. They are at Texas Tech, number 5 Texas Tech, on Thursday at 8:00. Texas Tech is 13-2-2, 7-1-2 in the Big 12. Believe this is the regular season finale, and then it goes to the Big 12 tournament. I think with the way things are right now, UCF's in a good position for an at-large from what I've read and picked up on. But it would always be nice to get another top 5 win and kind of cement that before you go into the conference tournament. But yeah, no, they've been really good.
They're one of the sports I feel a little robbed of because like women's soccer, men's soccer, and volleyball kind of like fall into that category of sports that like when you still lived in Orlando, like we'd hit up like a couple of them maybe each season, and now they're just out of my life and it makes me sad.
It's funny that you say that because I found myself recently like man, I feel like I've been so like out of tune with some of these other sports. Like I keep track of them for game of the week and just kind of like looking and seeing when they win or lose. But I feel like I knew more about them. I guess that's probably why is when I lived there, we would actually go to games. And
on top of that, we're also just when I was 22, I would if a game was on ESPN Plus, I'd watch it.
I would have things. Yeah,
life is busy now. It's difficult, but we still keep up with all of it as best I can. And hopefully we have a fun postseason from them.
Tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week. Tweet of the week this week is a choose your own adventure. So if you want tweet of the week, here's what you do. You go to Twitter, you go to the search bar, you type in Goalish and you click search and you just pick which USF fan having complete and utter crash out over their coach they're going to lose anyway you want to be tweet of the week. Pick whichever one you like. There's many of them. Mm-hmm. If you're not sure entirely what I'm referring to, let me give you a little bit of the background before you go pick your own tweet of the week. USF is a football team that used to be rivals with UCF, but now they're a nothing program in the American. And they were having a cute little special season where they were talking about being back because they were ranked, which is cool. Good for them. And they were going to go to the playoff. Well, unfortunately, they lost to Memphis. And now they have 2 losses, and their season is effectively over. And they're going to lose their coach, Alex Goalish. You probably heard of him. He was UCF's coach for some time. And not their head coach, but you know what I mean? Yes. You know that. You're listening. You listen to UCF podcast. You're aware Alex Goalish.
You're 55 minutes into a UCF podcast. You know that Alex Goalish has never been their head coach.
So there are approximately, I don't know exactly what the count is. I believe there are 465,000 different head coach openings in college football right now. So the odds of them holding on to Goalish is slim because of how many Power 4 openings there are and the fact he's being mentioned in virtually all of them. But the good news for USF fans is after they lost to Memphis, they decided they're thrilled about that. They all hate Alex Goalish, the only man who has given them a shred of relevance in basically the last decade. They have turned on because they're 6-2. So we've talked a lot over the years about how USF stands alone in that they have their fan base. There is no fan base in college football. I really, truly believe this with all my heart. This isn't a rivalry thing. I've said this before. No fan base that there is a larger disconnect between what they are and what they think they are. Turning on your coach because you're falling to 6-2 when you're USF is like the most USF thing in the world. So go ahead, pick your tweet. There's plenty. Just search Goalish.
We were talking about it on Saturday, and I was like, oh, they're turning on the only good coach they've had since Jim Leavitt. Like, I mean, seriously, the good years that they had, quote unquote, good years they had since Jim Leavitt, I don't credit Willie Taggart or Charlie Strong with those seasons. I credit Quentin Flowers.
Yep.
And so just seeing them turn on Goalish, who has brought them back from like where Jeff Scott took them even lower. He has turned them around. They went to a bowl last year, all that stuff. Like they are still at 6-2 on the right track. And yeah, I think they're at a spot where they should be appreciating what he's done for them while he's on his way out to a bigger and better job. And instead they're just like, no, we're going to get someone better. I don't know.
4 years before Goalish showed up, they went 4-8, 1-8, 2-10, 1-11. And now they want him gone. Like they're so pissed at this guy because they're 6-2. It's something.
It's been heavy on Twitter. I've noticed it, and we were talking about it. I brought that up to my dad. Like my parents, I've talked about it before. They are USF grads and have been enjoying the season to this point. I told my dad that was happening, and he was like, "All those people should be like stripped of any tickets or like anything." He was like so angry about it. He was like, "That." It
was on like the biggest USF accounts on Twitter too. It wasn't just like a couple, right? Like every account that you see was just like he's holding us back. And it's just...
My dad is mostly like casually a USF fan. Like obviously he enjoys when they're doing well, but like doesn't care overly like when they're bad. So like for him to be like, no, that is insane. And it's these diehard fans that are like, oh, he's not a good coach. Like, well, I'm like, all right, man. I
have a little brother theory that plays into this. And I'm kind of serious. I am serious when I say I do think part of it is because I unfortunately keep tabs on USF on Twitter because they are our rivals, whether we like it or not. And I still enjoy hating them. And ever since UCF went undefeated, every time USF starts to have a good season or thinks they have a good season, it's not like, hopefully you have a good season. It's like, this is our 2017 UCF year. Like, I really do think like 2017 broke UCF fans' brains. I think it broke USF fans' brains a little bit too. Like they just keep waiting for when it's their turn to have that season. So while 6-2 is like a remarkable improvement over the last decade of their existence, they're like, well, damn it, now we're not having the special season anymore. So this is
Mike Hughes kickoff return broke them. It really did break their program.
It absolutely broke that program. Broke UCF's a little bit too, but at least we were on the positive side of it for a little bit.
Oh, it's bizarre. It's very bizarre. But yeah, that's the way things are going over here. I guess I'm saying on that side of town. I'm in that town right now.
You are. You're in enemy territory.
As always. But yeah, we'll be back on Saturday for our post-game edition for episode 299.
I'm TBD.
Until then, yeah, Christian is questionable for that post-game podcast. I didn't know if we were going to bring that up or not. It may be Christian and me. It may be Brian, Wild Bill Peterson, and me. Could be the three of us. We don't know. We'll see. Tune in on Saturday.
We should lock Brian in and just do the three of us if I'm available. We'll see how it goes.
I already brought that idea up to him, and he loved it. He was like, don't tell Christian. But then he was like, actually do tell Christian. I don't think he would think it's as funny as we do if he just showed up when we were both in here.
I would have actually been so flummoxed. I'm not sure how I would have reacted.
I know, which is why I was kind of like questioning going along with it. And then he like clarified to me, he was like, don't not tell him because I don't know if he'd find it as funny as we do. And I was like, all right. So yeah, it will be either you, Christian and I, it will be me and Brian, or it'll be the three of us, a 3-man podcast on Saturday. But we'll be back with episode 299 after UCF Baylor on Saturday afternoon. Until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at by CA Simmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We will talk to you on Saturday.
Bye, everybody.